what then happens is this, right? How do we help the clients from where they are to where they want to be? That's the only intention that we're trying to get out of the whole conversation. Welcome everyone. Today we're going to dive into the coach framework. So many of you ask me, like how do we approach coaching conversations? Is it going to be different from our normal conversations? What about the other models we've came across? And what makes, is there a model that I can use or a framework I can think about to help me in my coaching process? Now, I like to say this. Now, if you use a model, you tend to be very structured and formulaic in your coaching conversations, because what tends to happen is this: you hold on to that model and then you say, okay, I'm going to do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. So I would like to say this, right? Be very careful when you adopt a certain model in your coaching practice, because when you adopt any of the models out there, what will happen is that don't allow the model to lead you. Don't allow the model to lead the conversation. Who's the leading in the conversation? It's a partnership in a co-creative process with the client and yourself. So never let the model be the one that's leading. Allow the conversational flow to lead you. Allow the client, because it's client-led, it's conversation client-led, and it's a co-creative process. So allow the client to be the one leading you and leading where we want to go in this conversation. If the client says, hey, let's explore this area first, move with that flow, move with the rhythms of grace. So some coaches came to me and say, hey, I learned that I have to go through this step, then to achieve the awareness and so on and so forth. Yeah, it's true that certain models tend to follow the sequence. And it may be true for some people, but it may not be true for everyone. There's 7.6 billion people on planet Earth, and everyone is an individual. And the way we shape our world, the way we frame our world are all different. So the way we approach our world is going to be very, very different from another person from a different part of the world. So that means this: there's no one model that will fit all. Think about this. Researchers have came up with so many different models of communication processes, conflict resolution, coaching. There's so many different models, conversational models. There's so many listening models. There's so many emotional intelligence. There's so many as well. Why there's so many different models? Because based on their research, based on the sample pool size, they have found that these are the common trends, and that's what they think that will work best. Now, to me, my approach is not a model-based approach. My approach is really an intention-based approach. What is the intention behind the questions? What is the intention behind that series of steps you want to take to move the client forward? At the end of the whole coaching conversation, what you try to get the client to do is move from point A to point B. That's really it, right? The fundamental question or the fundamental process, there's only one: from point A to where they want to be. This is really where it is, right? From where they are to where they want to be. This is the whole journey they want to get. So what then happens is this, right? How do we help the clients from where they are to where they want to be? That's the only intention that we're trying to get out of the whole conversation. So what we're going to do in this process here today, I'm going to share with you this thing called the coach framework, or the coach model, for simplicity's sake. But I want you to know this: as I go through all this process, it's for you to understand the intention of each of the steps, and thereafter you can maneuver in each of this process, in each of this framework, to see what works best for your client and what works best for the conversational flow on that day. Sometimes you may have to go through, and you might have to approach it from a different angle. Sometimes you want to start from the back to the start, or sometimes you start from the middle to the start and to the back again. So it really depends on the conversational flow and the outcome of the conversation on that day. So let's take a look at this. So let me introduce to you the coach framework of conversations. COACH. Each of these letters is an abbreviation of a different term and different word. We're going to look at that and how this ties into your core competencies of the ICF coaching model, coaching frameworks, right? So we always see this: the ICF has established a list of core competencies. There are 11 core competencies, and with the updated ICF competencies in 2019, now we have 8. The consolidation and refinement into these 8 new competencies. So I'm going to show you how this match with the 11 as well as the 8, because for those of you who are actually applying for your credentials in the year 2020, you will still be assessed based on the 11 competencies. For those of you watching this in the year 2021 and beyond, you'll be assessed based on the updated 8 competencies. So whichever it is, it's going to work for you, because as long as you understand the intentions of each of these steps, you will know how to navigate in the conversational process. Are you ready? So let's go. Now, the very first thing is called connection. So the first step is connect with the client. And what it means is this: to build rapport and trust with the client. So the first thing you want to do is this: in this process, there's 3 different competencies we look at. One, it's meeting ethical guidelines and professional standards, meaning to say that when we connect with the clients, are we connecting them ethically? Are we upholding the ethics of ICF? Are we upholding the ethics of our professional standards? Number 2, it's setting the coaching agreement. What is it that the client wants to get out of his sessions, and what are the measures of success in this whole process? Number 3 is establish the trust and intimacy of the client. In the new updated competencies, we still have ethics, never change. Competency number 2 is coaching mindset. So when you enter the conversations, how you enter is going to be important. So many coaches say, how do I prepare for the conversations? Well, you prepare by understanding the coaching mindset. What mindset you're going to take to enter the conversation. If you adopt a wrong mindset, you may go in there too forceful, you may go in there too hard, you may go in there too demanding or appear too strong on the client, and that will break the rapport of the client. So the coaching mindset would tell us, okay, how do we develop ourselves as a coach? How do we maintain our state? How do we actually get into the right state of mind, right frame of mind to enjoy the conversation with the client? The next competency talks about us having that safe space with the client, the trust and the safe space with the client. And why is it so important for you to have a safe space with the client? Because if the client doesn't feel safe, you cannot bring the client deeper to who they are. Many of the coaching conversations stay at the what level, which is the superficial issues. But if you don't go deeper with the client, the deep inner of the client, you really have to allow the client to feel that there's a safe space for them to be able to open up, for them to lower their resistance to go deeper with you in the conversations. The next one is called O. That's the outcome. So the outcome is to create goals and desired outcome for the client. So that's the end goal, right? What would that look like? So in this process, you're going to design actions, you're going to plan and goal set with the client, you're going to manage progress and accountability with the client. Really important in this whole process is that, hey, how do we manage this progress flow? How do we move from here? I know at the end of conversations, we're going to achieve certain things. How do we move from here? How do we set accountability process? How do we go from here? So in the new updated competencies, it's called cultivating and facilitating growth, clients' growth. How do we facilitate the growth of the clients? Really simple. First, understanding where the clients want to be, which steps you want to make forward, how do we manage this progress and accountability for the client? Every step of the way matters for the client as well. So the outcome is important because that will set the end goal, that will set the measurable goal at when the client gets out of the conversation and he takes action forward. Because when the client takes action forward, now he feels there's progress. Important in the whole process in the coaching conversation is the client must feel there's progress. When the client feels there's progress, guess what? Things happen for them. When the client feels there's progress, something will happen for them as well. Next step is awareness. To help client gain awareness about themselves and how they can achieve their goals. So creating awareness for clients is going to be a very, very important process, right? Because if you create awareness for the client, now the client is aware about what's really happening, what's really changing for them, what is really becoming clearer for them. If there's no awareness, what happens? Well, the client is just not aware of anything. Now, it's not you as a coach, it's not your awareness, but it's about helping the client to create awareness. In the new updated competencies, we call this the evoking of awareness, evoking the client's awareness. So when I ask questions, I'm not asking questions for my own awareness. I'm asking questions to help the client to gain awareness about themselves, to help them gain awareness about the situations. And really about this thing is to help the client gain clarity about what's really happening for them, what's happening on the inside of them. And that will help them create a deeper sense of awareness and a deeper sense of knowing where they are, where they want to be, and also to find any incongruence or misalignments in their belief systems. So that's really what about awareness. Awareness must happen. So when you think about the whole process of coaching conversation is to help the client create more awareness about themselves, what's really happening for them, what's happening on the inside of them, what are their values, their beliefs, their thought process, their structures, the things that's holding them, their principles, their ideology, what's really holding them back, right? So that's the awareness building process. The fourth, which is to communicate. So the fundamental bedrock of the conversation is the ability for you to communicate. So this helps you to use the language that's most effective, most efficacious in a conversation. So you have things like active listening, powerful questioning, direct communication, and this is embedded in the new updated competencies as listens actively, evoking awareness. So how do we do that? How do we actually ask powerful questions? How do we go that? So communication utilizes several tools that we're going to use. Conversational tools that go deeper with the client, questioning tools, using metaphors, using analogies, helping the client, the best language for the client. It's not about how sophisticated our language are, but it's about helping to use the client's language, using the client's own rhythm, using the client's own phraseology to go deeper with the client. So that's your ability to communicate as a coach. The fifth one, I would say this is the most important for me in the sense that this is about being here in this moment, to be present in the coaching and be open and flexible during the conversation. So it really means about coaching presence and maintaining the presence. So it's not just creating the presence, not just having the coaching presence, but maintaining the presence all throughout the conversations, because guess what happens? In the conversational flow, sometimes presence may be broken. Sometimes you may be present with yourself, not with the client. Sometimes the client may be present with something else and they're not here in the moment of the client. How do we be present in the moment? Like two persons coming together to have a conversational dance. Coaching is like a conversational dance. You're moving, you're creating with the client, and it's moving back and forth, and there's this whole notion of co-creative process. It's going to be really fun, very exciting for the whole, for the client to enjoy this whole process as well. So being present is going to be really, really important. Being here in this moment, here right now. So when we look at this whole model, the C, connection, O, outcome, A, awareness, C, communicate, H, here, this 5, I wouldn't say steps, but these 5 intentions are going to be key in the whole process for a coaching conversation. How you ask the question, how you listen, when you're going to do it, when you're not going to do it, how you're going to maneuver in this whole process really depends on the client and the conversation itself, how you flow in the conversation. You may go through this sequence, it may not be in this sequence, right? It may be in different sequence as well, but what you need to know fundamentally, it's what's the intention of each of the step. So so what I would urge you to do is this: go back and reread the core competencies, the updated as well as the old competencies as well. Compare them, read them, understand them, understand the intentions of them. Watch the YouTube videos that I'm going to produce as well, right? Watch all the competency videos as well as I break down every single competencies for you to begin to understand what all those things mean. How do those relate to you? How do those connect for you? What do all those really mean for you? What do those mean for your conversations? Find those connections for yourself, right? Internalize them, digest them, practice them, use them, and be playful with them. In the conversation, trust the coaching process. Trust that there is inherent value in the coaching process, right? We're not trusting in the model, we're not trusting in the framework, but we trust the coaching process will produce the results for the client, will produce and help the client get to where they want to be. So there we have the coach framework for you to consider. Remember, it's intention-based coaching, not so much about the model or systemic-based, not so much about the structured-based approach, but really it's about intention-based. Why? Why this works better? Because in a conversation, it's not about having more structures and more structures. This is the way to ask, that's the way to ask, that's the wrong way to ask. No, it's about understanding intention. When you understand intention, you have two imperfect people coming together, finding synchronity in the conversation and going deeper than ever before. If you can do that, you've experienced a great conversational flow. If you want to find out more about conversational flow, write into us because we have a program called Conversational Flow and Experiencing Conversational Dance. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Do remember to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification button for more of such videos. And if you have any video requests, drop us a message, comment section, write into me. I'll be more than happy to connect with you. Until next time, see you at Coaching Changes Lives.